Hi, I'm Noah Weinstein.
And I'm Armand Hartoonian.
And this is WeinHart! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to WeinHart. We got some really great stuff for you on today's episode. Armand, what are we going to be talking about today?
Streaming and how much it sucks.
Oh yeah, streaming this episode. Oh.
We're gonna be talking about our top 5 of 2023.
Oh, that's right. Our top 5 of 2023.
Yeah.
You know, this was such a fantastic year for movies all around.
Genuinely.
I mean, from everything, from Air to Godzilla -1 to all sorts of fantastic films. There was so much variety this year in terms of everything we got. And more importantly, I think there's a lot of movies this year that we're just going to go back and watch over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, we are going to get into our top 5 of 2023. Here we go. My number 5 of this year is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone. This is like if your head got grabbed by somebody, they threw you into a pile of mud and dragged you through that mud for 3 hours. That's how it feels watching this movie. In the best way possible. It is grueling, it is harrowing, it is heartbreaking. Leonardo DiCaprio brought out a fantastic performance. I'm still really shocked to this day that he didn't get any nominations for anything really, for Best Actor or anything, because in my opinion, that was like a top 3 performance. Seeing him be so conflicted, but you also despise this character so much. Robert De Niro is fantastic. Lily Gladstone is a scene stealer, an absolute scene stealer. She really knocks it out of the park in this entire movie. Rodrigo Prieto's cinematography in this movie is some of the most gorgeous cinematography I've ever seen. I was watching it a couple weeks ago. We paused it a couple of times to go to the bathroom, but every place you pause in this movie, it's almost like I could take a screen grab of that and frame it up and behind my wall or frame it in my room because it's that beautiful. Like the lighting and the compositions and the look of it. Martin Scorsese killed it. So that is my number 5.
My number 5, and I was going back and forth many times on this, but I have a good eclectic, I think, top 5 of 2023. My number 5 has to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know, from the beginning, there was something about James Gunn and the way he was doing these films that, for me personally, separated the other films. There was something about, you know, Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana and, you know, Bradley Cooper as Rocket and Vin Diesel as Groot, Dave Bautista as Drax. So, I don't know, but it wasn't my favorite Guardians volume or, you know, favorite one of the 3, but it was definitely the most emotional one, I think, because it was dark in a very, like, depressing way, of course, but it was also, towards the end, it was very therapeutic because it was therapeutic to watch as an audience member, like Rocket, go through what he went through in that film, but also come out the other end as a strong raccoon, as you know.
The name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon.
Obviously, I didn't connect 100% with exactly what he was going through, but there were things that Rocket was going through in that film that made me kind of look back on certain areas of trauma that I've been through in my life and kind of reflect on that and feel like, oh, wow, you know, I can definitely feel where that was going. Other than that, it was just really feel good. It's a Guardians film. James Gunn killed it. It's a great send-off because now he's doing the DC stuff, and I have complete confidence in him that, you know, 90% of those films are going to be solid because, you know, knowing that where he came from, you know, with the Marvel universe, I feel like he's going to take that and put that in the DC universe, and he's going to be, you know, execute those very well too. So, you know, enough talk, but that's my, that's Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's my number 5.
Number 4 is Oppenheimer. What Christopher Nolan did with this movie, bringing in Cillian Murphy to do Oppenheimer, and the way it was put together was really an experience I've never had before in a movie. The explosion, the way they did the explosion in this movie, I have never seen anything like that in my life. The way that that whole scene goes, it's like a big tease. You see the explosion, you're anticipating that kaboom sound. It's just so good. It's so on the edge of your seat. The way he plays with sound in that is absolutely stunning. Watching this in IMAX 70mm was an absolute treat, and this was the best format to watch this movie in. My favorite part of the movie is easily when he is putting together the bomb. All the buildup with him recruiting the scientists, talking to the generals, talking to all the politicians, seeing how it all comes together. Because some of the scientists outright say, look, man, I love what you're doing, but I feel so morally wrong for doing this. And he had to go on without them in many cases. This is the perfect movie to show in a history class because it is not pro or anti-Oppenheimer in any way. It's not too sympathetic to him, but it doesn't outright despise him either. It shows him for what he did. Yes, he created this bomb that changed the game forever. On the other hand, he wasn't the best husband. He cheated on his wife. He had a lot of personal problems, just like anybody else. But then you also get to see how people tried to slander him in ways that were not fair to him, which Robert Downey Jr. played incredibly well and Louis Strauss.
You know he's never once said that he regrets Hiroshima? He'd do it all over. Why? Because it made him the most important man.
Best post-Iron Man role he has done so far. I can't wait to see post-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. just go all in if this is the first thing he did. Well, I mean, he did Doolittle.
When removing the blockage.
Anyways, absolutely fantastic film. Christopher Nolan knocked it out of the park. I saw it 3 times. Go watch it. Oppenheimer, amazing.
All right, so number 4 for me, and again, this was, man, again, it's tough, man. You know, like you go to the movies and you're seeing all these movies and, you know, it's just, 2.5 hours here, 3 hours there, and you're just hoping that, I just want to like it and I just want to be entertained. Luckily, more than luckily, this next film did just that for me. Coming in at number 4, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. And I'm not going to say part 1 because I'm just not going to say it. Dead Reckoning. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love, man? It's Tom Cruise. I'll see anything Tom Cruise does because, he's a big entertainer and I'm a big fan because the guy is just good at what he does. You can tell that he goes into this thing wanting to impress audiences. He puts his life on the line, and he doesn't have to do that, but he does it because it's a want, it's a desire. So, minus his personal Scientology beliefs, which I don't think I'll ever be able to wrap my head around, but hey.
I think it's a privilege to call yourself a Scientologist, and it's something that you have to earn. When you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it, because you know you're the only one that can really help.
What?
I loved Fallout. Fallout, which was the one before this one, is one of my favorite films of all time, and Noah and I agree on that too. Very difficult. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. I keep going back and forth. There's something about 7 that I like a little bit more than 6. I think because it's just more linear. It's just 6 is great, but there's still twists and turns in 6 where you have to watch Rogue Nation, the 5th one, which was not really my favorite one. The Mission Impossibles all kind of bleed into the next one a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. So there's I think it's filmed in an episodic fashion for film in a way. My one issue with the film is that these commercials, these trailers are always giving away the best parts of the film. And I understand that in order to sell a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible film, you need to show him doing the biggest, baddest stunt, which was him. They built this, giant ramp and he went off the ramp with his motorcycle. As he's going down, flips open the parachute, he's, parachutes down. And I get it that you have to sell the film marketing wise, but seeing those commercials, I was already anticipating that was going to happen because I saw in the trailers that he's driving up the mountain. I mean, what goes up must come down. So he's not driving up a mountain to have a picnic up there. What else can be said about this? It's just good cinema, I mean, it's good. Turn your brain off. Action, popcorn, blockbuster. It's a great film. I feel like they are getting better and better. Kind of like Noah and I doing WeinHart. It's getting better and better.
Yeah, it's getting better, better and better. Yeah. My number 3 is a direct sequel to Oppenheimer. It's unlikely, but I'm telling you, it is a direct sequel to Oppenheimer. Godzilla -1. The biggest shocker of the whole year. In terms of all the films I saw this year, this is the one where I went in with donut expectations of it and walked out of it going like, oh my God.
Sure.
This is like one of the best movies I've ever seen. Yeah. Godzilla -1 is so surprising and so well done. Yep. The action with Godzilla is so breathtaking. The effects, the way the monster moves, it's incredible. And all that stuff delivers spectacularly. But the thing that separated this one from all the other Godzilla movies, everything from Godzilla v. Kong to King of the Monsters to Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla, is this one just had really fantastic human characters right from the jump. This is about a kamikaze pilot post-World War II who's dealing with survivor's guilt because he didn't do what he needed to do during the war. So he has to live with that, and to see him go through this self-conflict and his sense of purpose again, juxtaposed with this giant monster destroying all of Japan, was such a brilliant take. It was so brilliant the way they used the setting of Japan, because the people all kind of come out of the woodwork together and defeat the monster together. It isn't really one person solo that defeats Godzilla. It's all of the characters around us that really defeat the monster at the end of the day. It's a really, really well-made film, especially the third act where they're fighting Godzilla. The big final battle sequence is really breathtaking what they do with it. We saw this together, and we all walked in like, I don't know, this could be good, this could be not good, but I want to see it because I heard a lot of buzz about it. Everybody, not just the three of us in the theater, Armand, Aaron, and I, but everybody in the theater was cheering and collectively applauding and crying and reacting to every single thing in this movie. And that's the kind of experience I love the most, when it's such a big crowd pleaser film and everybody is just so active and participating. Those are my favorite movie experiences, and just fantastic overall. I cannot wait to buy this on 4K or digital copy, or if it shows up on streaming, I will watch it on streaming. Whatever way I can see this again, I'm there. Godzilla -1, number 3.
Number 3, can we get a drum roll, please? Number 3 for me. Noah mentioned this already, but my number 3 was Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this was tough for me because my number 3 and my number 2, I kept swapping, but after watching my number 2 a few more times, I realized that no, everything is where it should be. So anyways, this was one of my highly anticipated films for 2023. I love Scorsese, him being an Italian American, me being an Armenian American. The cultures are very similar in that sense. And as an American Armenian, I am definitely able to relate to those films.
Funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
You know how you tell a story.
I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you.
This one, as Noah said, was completely different from his mob films, and I like that. I think this is his masterpiece. You can tell when a director does a passion project and puts so much of what he loves and wants to do into something. Like, you can just tell. He just wanted to tell the story of Native Americans who were being oppressed. It was a way, like, I was entertained and educated simultaneously, and I feel that when you go to the movies, if, of course I'm going there for purposes of entertainment, but if you're able to be educated and entertained simultaneously, I think that the director has won you over, Fantastic film, very long, but just because a film is long, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth one's attention. You should still give, film, I think at least it deserves an hour of your time before you decide if you want to get up and walk out or not. Half an hour is it's too little, half an hour. You need to at least, I say, like, it's like my 1 hour rule, I think. Watch it for an hour. You like it, great. With me, when I start a film, I have to finish it. That's just the way I am, unless it's utter garbage, like House of Gucci.
Never confuse shit with chocolato. They may look the same, but the taste very different.
What? Killers of the Flower Moon, fantastic cast. DiCaprio, Gladstone, De Niro. I think it's Scorsese's masterpiece. Beautiful, fantastic, progressive, educating, enlightening, eye-opening. You know, what more can be said about it? Fantastic film. Number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Nice. My number 2 film is The Holdovers. The definition of a throwback movie, like Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller's Day Off or any of those kinds of coming-of-age movies mixed with this really nice adult drama, weirdly enough. Alexander Payne directed this film, and he did a splendid job really getting us into all these characters and getting into what each of them are just dealing with throughout life. They're all at different places in life, but they're all kind of outcasts in their own way. Paul Giamatti as the professor is absolutely fantastic.
Sir, I don't understand.
That's glaringly apparent.
No, it's... I can't fail this class.
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Mr. Coates. I truly believe that you can.
Him and Dominic Sessa's chemistry in this movie really, really makes this movie shine. Davine Joy Randolph is fantastic in this film as well, playing a grieving mother. It goes from being really funny to being very charming to being sentimental to being a little sad. To me, it's one of the most well-rounded films I've ever seen because it's really just, it's about life.
I find the world a bitter and complicated place, and it seems to feel the same way about me. I think you and I have this in common.
It doesn't feel like they're just doing Breakfast Club for 2023. It feels like this is really its own story with its own characters and its own situations. And I have such a soft spot for these kinds of movies. It's so fun, brilliantly written script. There's a lot of fantastic setups and payoffs throughout that just really elevate this film. And it's one of those movies I think I'm just going to be watching over and over and over again.
Bring the young vandal here, Cherry's Jubilee.
I'm afraid I can't. The dish contains brandy.
Christ on a crutch. What kind of a fascist hash foundry are you running here?
Hats off to Alexander Payne, because that was a stunning, stunning movie.
My number 2's, it's not really that big of a film. It's a very small, very tiny independent film done by a very tiny, production company. So this small independent film is called Oppenheimer. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I don't think I saw that, no.
It's done by this very small, up-and-coming director. His name's Christopher Nolan.
Never heard of him.
You know? All right, so my number 2 was Oppenheimer. I mean, what's not to love? The marketing on this was fantastic. They did this countdown thing.
4, 3.
Truman needs to know what's next.
2.
What's next?
1.
A part of me thought it was lame, but the other half of me was like, this is also kind of cool. So I was like, kind of torn between lame and cool, and but it did pique my interest, and just the way they executed was fantastic. And everybody went and saw it. Oh, Barbenheimer, people dress up as Barbie, people dress up as Oppenheimer.
That was an event, because I saw Barbie that Friday, and then I saw Oppenheimer that very next day, and that was wild. That was a great weekend.
So good. I knew, because I couldn't see both films when they released, but I was like, you know what? I have to see Oppenheimer because it's like, this is like one of those things that when I'm 90, I'm going to look back and go, I'm glad I saw that in theaters kind of thing, when I'm talking about theaters, when theaters no longer exist and people are calling me, Grandpa Armand, I think this is going to win Best Picture because it's kind of set up to win Best Picture. There's something about blockbuster films that just blow you away. I'm still kind of back and forth, but I think I'll go so far as to say that this is Nolan's masterpiece at the moment. His other masterpiece is the Dark Knight trilogy, but I think there's just something special about this because it's about a historical figure. Cillian did a fantastic job. I'm so happy that he wasn't just playing Scarecrow or playing some secondary character. I'm very glad with the choice made. So everything with this film lined up, the production company, the cast, the director, everything it's just very, very, it's a very graceful film from beginning to end. I even went into this being pessimistic, like, oh, shit, Hans Zimmer isn't doing the score for this, and I'm a Zimmer freak. And I was like a little bit like not into the whole Ludwig Göransson, but again, the more I watched and the more I listened, I can go back and now and say Ludwig did a fantastic job. He's great, man. I mean, it's Nolan, and I'm gonna go ahead and plug something too. I think 2024's Oppenheimer is coming out, and then that's Dune Part 2. And that's, I think, going to be the Oppenheimer of 2024. So, but anyways, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, fantastic from start to finish, number 2.
All right, guys. Time for the number one film of 2023. My number one pick is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Oh my God, man. This movie was absolutely insane. The first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie was one of those films that I just left feeling so surprised by. In my opinion, it is the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made, bar none. Beautiful animation, amazingly tight script. Lord and Miller's signature humor was perfect for Spider-Man. With great power comes great response.
Don't you dare finish that sentence. Don't do it. I'm sick of it.
The bar has been set incredibly high. Across the Spider-Verse is just that movie where every single scene, every single character, every single moment of it is used so well and is entertaining, emotional, interesting, and just a blast to watch. This film is never ever boring. This has fantastic characters all around. The animation was taken up an entire new level from what they did in the first one. You really feel like you are in the multiverse with this movie, whereas other multiverse films like Doctor Strange 2, for example, there is just not a lot of differentiation between the worlds, so it all kind of feels like the same thing. This really feels like we are in a different world. We're in Spider-Man India's world, or we're in Spider-Man 2099's world, Miguel O'Hara's world, or we're in just regular old Brooklyn from the first film. I think it should have been nominated for Best Original Score because it's such an emotional, pulse-pounding score. One of my favorite scenes of the movie is the train scene between Miguel, Miles, Gwen, and Peter B. Parker. Because in this scene, Miguel straight up tells him the hard truth about this, which is Miles is not actually Spider-Man. He was never supposed to be Spider-Man in the events of time. And Gwen and Peter B. Parker knew about this whole storyline, and they did not tell him.
You knew? You all knew?
I didn't know how to tell you.
They were going to let his dad just die in his universe. And the fact that they knew this and didn't try to stop it, the scene itself was just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic editing, fantastic storytelling, terrific writing, great jokes.
I love chai tea. What did you just say?
Chai tea? Chai means tea, bro. You're saying tea. Would I ask you for a coffee with room for cream?
The only thing I will say about this movie is this movie really hinges on the part one part of this movie. This movie really has a lot of stuff that they do not fully finish or pay off yet. And I know it's because they're doing Beyond the Spider-Verse, but because that is not present in this movie, I really feel like a lot of how great this movie is going to hold up is going to hinge on whether Beyond the Spider-Verse is good or not. If Beyond the Spider-Verse is great, then no problem. This movie's going to hold up wonderfully. If the results of Beyond the Spider-Verse are not that good, I may be looking at this film a little differently in a few years. But for now, this is my number one movie of the year. We saw a fantastic screening of this, Armand and I. And we saw Phil Lord and Christopher Miller there, along with Haley Steinfeld and Shameik Moore, and it was fantastic to hear them talk about the process of it. Anyways, that's my number one, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
My number one is Godzilla -1. I saw this movie with Aaron, another one of my friends who's also in the studio. He's also our camera guy, and also shout out to Jeremy, our audio guy, who's also in the studio.
All right. Fantastic work setting this up today, guys.
They're the best. They always help us get things done, and they are absolutely, top dog professionals. So, anyways. So Godzilla -1. One day, Aaron and Noah texted me, hey, you want to go see this film? Yeah, sure, why not? I got nothing to do after work. This is one of my free days. Why not? It's rare that happens for me now. And when it does happen, though, I totally capitalize on it because, I miss spending time with my buddies and, just relaxing and seeing a movie. We went and saw it. Because of Aaron and Noah, I opened a Letterboxd account, and I'm just going to read what I wrote on that. I don't think I could summarize how much that film meant to me this year than just reading what that was. I said, what can be said about Godzilla -1? Incredible, just mind-blowingly gorgeous, edge-of-your-seat cinema. This is Japanese cinema at its absolute best. It had heart, It had story, it had action, it was like Jaws, Top Gun Maverick, and Oppenheimer had a beautiful Japanese baby, and this was it. Why is it that other cultures are still able to make fantastic movies that take me back to the good old days when I was in my teens going to the movies? I'll tell you why. Because they're exactly that, culture. And they fully understand exactly what audiences want to see and most importantly feel. I could rave on and on about the Japanese and how much respect and admiration I have for them and their beautiful culture that is, but let's get back to -1 and I'll end it with this. If you don't see any movie this year, go out and see this one because it puts American cinema to utter shame and shows you once and for all that the Japanese reign supreme, especially in the field of Godzilla. This style of filmmaking took me back to like when I was growing up and there were actually like the feel-good movies of the era that I grew up in had this exact tonation to it. And I think that one of the reasons that I'm not enjoying cinema as often as I should nowadays anymore is because the studio executives have taken over that feel-good nature that Godzilla -1 had to offer. They brought this humanness onto the screen. Like every character, each one had such a vivid and impressive personality that it stuck with me. And I went back in the day, American characters were written like this, where you would remember each individual character. And unfortunately, I did a lot of like thinking, and I spoke to some coworkers and other people as well. And I realized that the reason why that's missing in American cinema nowadays is because these studio executives have so much control. In certain things, everybody needs to stay in their goddamn lane. That's just the way that it is, you know? I mean, you just have to stay in your lane. The executives who deal with business and money and finance stuff, you don't know a damn thing about creativity. I'm sorry, you don't. Now all of a sudden you're assuming yourself into the role of these creatives who have been doing this for a lifetime, who, sorry to say, it's going to sting, but they know how to do creative better than you because they are creatives. You know, as opposed to you staying in your lane and you doing the business stuff and allowing them to stay in their lane, and you're just kind of you're working together in this parallel freeway where no one's running into each other and, you know, getting in each other's lanes and each other's ways. Everyone's just gracefully driving in their own and just waving at each other. Hey, we see you too. But, you know, we're just going to keep going our separate ways. No, you want to cause a fucking traffic jam and you want to ruin everything and you want to cause a big car accident, don't you? I gotta act a little bit. Gotta act, right? You gotta act.
I mean, that's the whole point. Right?
Anyways, but look, I've also come to realize a lot of foreign films that I've seen in the past too, like even Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, fantastic movie if you haven't seen it. RRR, you know, which is an Indian film, another fantastic movie. I've seen foreign films that I have to say, like, sure, Top Gun Maverick's great, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, those still stand and reign supreme in their own category. But, you know, there's this beauty of foreign films, you know, like you shouldn't limit yourself to just watching American cinema. It's not that much of a chore to read subtitles. I'm also in dubbing and localization and subtitles, so it's nice to know, like, I'm in that field of work, so it's nice to know that I'm helping create a medium in which others can enjoy, you know, all these different types of languages and work, you know, and I hope to, you know, move up in that career someday more than I am right now, but, you know, in due time. Anyways, Godzilla -1, fantastic, amazing, beautiful, not just beautiful Japanese cinema, beautiful cinema, period. You know, and that's my number one. So, yeah, man.
Well, there you have it, guys.
There you have it, guys.
Top 5 of 2023.
Top 5.
This was WeinHart.
Yes, it was, because it wasn't anything else, was it?
It was absolutely nothing else. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining us. Click that like and subscribe button.
Yes, please do. Absolutely.
Keep watching movies. Keep enjoying everything, guys.
Enjoy life. Take it easy.
All right. See you later.